What is going on, everybody? It is your boy Zary, and before we get into the video, I just want to remind everybody, if you are under level 15 and you want $10 worth of free stuff, go to your settings, go to use promo code, and type in XMG Gift. You do that, you'll get $10 worth of free stuff. It helps support the channel. So if you're under level 15, make sure you're using that promo code XMG Gift. Enjoy the video. What is going down, my YouTube family? It is your boy Zary, and we are here to talk about fighters, worst to first in fighters. And there is a crap ton of them, 34 to be exact. So what I'm going to do, and try to make this as quickly as possible, I'm going to give 3 things about the character. They could be all bad, they could be all good. 3 things. So it's going to be long. We're going to try it out. We're going to hope it works. And this video doesn't end up being 30 minutes. So I got my son's Chewbacca jacket on that I found, so I figured it'd be good for the fighter video. So let's start with number 34, the worst fighter. 34 for me is Robin Bad. Robin Bad does have a good kit on paper. It just doesn't work out that way. He has an undodgeable basic, which is awesome. Gives crit damage buff. He's one of the only few champions who do that, but he just doesn't stay alive. His health and shield combination are so low, it's just damn near impossible to use this guy. That's why Robin Bad is 34. 33 is Diesel Rock. He just doesn't have a place. Again, you see a good kit. He can dispel, but he has better synergy with goblins than orcs, but it just doesn't work well in that team comp. He's not good. You know, he does have the chance to dispel. He has an AoE, but all in all, he just doesn't work. He needs an overhaul. He's so slow, too. 33, Diesel Rock. 32, Shaolin. Shaolin, even after the rework, he did get better, so he's not the worst character in the game, but he's still so slow. His damage really isn't that good at gear 11. He's like 3,200. He's just 33, 3,400. I don't know, somewhere in there, but it's terrible. He was dependent on accuracy. That is gone now. There's so many better options in the fighter class that Shaolin is just 32. 31 is Radash. Radash could be really good, but he's so dependent on Shadar. Shadar is a fighter, so that's a plus, but he's still so dependent on him, and he just does not stay alive for anything. Gear 11 plus, he's under 4k health, or he's under 4k damage, and I have a damage set on him, and he's still under 4k. He just doesn't do what he's supposed to do, and he's so dependent on Shadar to be better that if you don't want to have Shadar on your team, he is a mage, so he could fit in with a mage comp potentially, but good luck keeping this guy alive. He does have an interesting kit. I do like the concept behind him, but that's where he is for me. Number 30 is Yogi. I've talked about Yogi before. I love Yogi. He's just fantastic character design. His kit reads awesome. You know, he can give somebody pretty much a move, restore and turn meter, but he's really only useful in raids, and he is very, very slow. He just doesn't work as intended. His damage isn't very good at all. You're probably better off just building this guy for speed and make him a support character. But when it comes to the fighters, when there's so many to choose, he's just bottom of the barrel. 29, Corcorum. Corcorum has so many caveats on his kit. It's just extremely hard to use him. He doesn't fit in the orc team. To do this massive damage, you need burn and stun. You know, he does have a pretty solid AoE. That'll help you out if you're looking for something like that. I mean, but it's only 190 damage and a 50% chance to stun. It's not there. The Spectral Beast move, like I was talking about, you need stun and burned for an additional 100% magic damage. It's almost damn near impossible to get. Corcorum's a frustrating character. He's a very good starter character, but after you get out of the phase where you don't need orcs, you don't need Corcorum anymore. 29. 28 is Old Lore. Old Lore can do some things. He can do some damage. Don't get me wrong, if you got a fighter goblin you have to pick, he's not bad, but he essentially has to waste a move here on his preparation to get that critical chance, potency, and accuracy increase. He does get 50% of his turn meter, but again, his health and shield combo are just so low. He's so slow. if you want him to go faster, you sacrifice the damage, which is the whole reason he's on your team, but he can crank. But he's more beneficial in a goblin team than just in a random mishmash that you could be using him for. Old lore, 28. 27 is Amara, and it might shock people that she's here, but she can do damage. If you want a damage dealer, she's your girl. But she's squishy, is all get up. She really struggles. Her potency is low, which she requires burning. She has okay speed, but she does some pretty good AoE, but she just is kind of like missing something, and she doesn't contribute as much to a team as other people on this list. So that's why I have Amara here. 26 to me is Master Duo. The only reason Master Duo is here is he puts on slow, and then if he has slow, he's reducing turn meter by 30%. So the turn meter manipulation makes him better than the characters I listed, but his damage is still god-awful. He is harder to keep alive. He can attack invisible people, so that is pretty cool. But again, there's just so many better choices in the fighters. But Master Duo does bring slow with a little bit of turn meter manipulation. 25 is Sergeant Pigwald, and Pigwald can crank the damage. Again, we're seeing you have to put on his lock and load ability to get charged to really make sure he does the correct amount of damage. Really slow, but his damage, this is what I love. It attacks 2 enemies with the lowest health, and if it kills an enemy, it resets the cooldown. It doesn't matter if there's taunt up, invisible up, whatever the case might be, he can target them and take them down. So that's why I have him where I have him, because of that little niche move. And his damage isn't too bad, but again, there's just so many other choices, and you're wasting a move to get his damage to where it needs to be, and he really doesn't bring anything more than cutting through invisible or getting around a tank to a party in the fighter category. 24 is Mar. Mar hits hard. He does. His damage is low, but what makes him so good is you stack the crit chance on him. He puts on his rage ability, which gives him a damage increase, critical chance increase, crit damage increase, and he recovers 50% of his turn meter. But then he has his whirlwind ability. This hurts real bad, where if he gets 4 crits, it resets the cooldown on it. And you can just spam this over and over and over and over again. And you know what really helps out, especially in a harder battle too, is his passive ability. So as he loses health, he gets more damage, and he is a squishy character. So Mar can help you out if you are missing an AoE damage dealer from the party, but he's no more than number 24. That's all he is. He is bottom of the barrel, but people probably have to use Mar, and Mar can help you out. But he's still not the best. 23 Kagi. Kagi is extremely squishy, but Kagi does some things that could benefit your team, especially he grants haste to 4 allies for 2 turns, so you can speed up your team. He has a pretty decent AoE, 190, but then he can increase the accuracy of allies, and then he has a chance to double hit on his basic, so he does do some things, but he's still that bottom tier, very squishy. But if you got a slower team, he can help speed them up. That's why I put him above all the other ones, because of the haste increase. So 22 is Sharp to me, and the main reason Sharp is 22 is this: he gets crit chance increase and applies it to all allies for 2 turns, and then he gives himself crit damage. So the whole party, whether it's summon minions or whatever the case might be, he can crank up that crit damage for 2 turns on a 4-turn cooldown. Not too bad. And then he has his Wambo combo where he does the 3 hits. That can be super beneficial to help finish off an enemy, especially if they have like cheat death up or something like that. You can send him in with his Wambo combo and he'll knock him down. But the crit chance increase really pushes him above the other people I've mentioned, because it's party wide. So that is why Sharp is where he's at. 21 is Zelenar. Zelenar can do some things, but it's so RNG dependent. That's why he's not higher up on the list. His damage decreases with an AoE, but his totems is really what benefits, but it all depends on what totem you get. He has the taunting totem, and that could really help you out in situations, or it could screw you. So he has the healing one, which could help you out. But if it doesn't happen, you're screwed. But if it does happen, you extend the fight, you could win. Zelenar has a lot of potential, but it's RNG dependent. That's why Zelenar is 21 for me. Because of that, I mean, his damage is solid, his speed is solid, but it's all on RNG. Number 20, Thalia. I love Thalia. She's a great character, but outside the elf party, she kind of struggles. She can be a mage for you. She can fill that kind of double role if you're looking for that. She has a couple AoEs, she poisons, but you need somebody with regeneration on your team to really push her to her full potential, and fighters really don't have that. So she can do some damage. She's kind of like a freeze art in that aspect of she has a mini AoE and then a big AoE. The poisons could help you out, tick down damage over time. But she's number 20 because she really needs to be with elves, and there really needs to be somebody with regeneration to crank her damage. 19 is Lake. Lake is 19 because he has a lead. At least he has a lead, so if you're lacking a lead on a tournament, he could help you out there. He does have some really good AoE damage if there's burning up. You know, he does have his third ability here where he gets an accuracy increase and debuff immunity, so that could really, really help you out. Ember is also a fighter, so you could pair those two together. But Lake, if you don't have that burn on there, he's more down the list, but he's in the top 20 because he does have a lead, and that lead could benefit you. Giving yourself debuff immunity is huge. With the AoE damage, brings in Lake at 19. 18 is Foul, and it's because of her grace ability. Dodge increase to 4 allies, and then she gains cheat death, which increases her survivability. That is huge. You get that up on the first move. And now she can put burning if there's an allied panda mage. So you have Ember, you have Lake, all fighters. So if you're building a fighter team, she could help you out there. But it's really that grace ability. She has a mini AoE and decreases turn meter. So that's huge. So that's one way to look at it there. And then you have your, she's recovering her turn meter. If she grants a critical hit, she gets an additional 40%. So she can kind of get that train rolling. Turn meter manipulation, dodge increase to the team. Puts on burning if you're looking for that. Foul, 18. Number 17 is Major Shot. He does have a leadership ability that applies to goblins. There's 2 goblins we've already gone over. But what really sets Major Shot at 17 is he has an AoE ability, he has a mini AoE on his basic, and then he has Blind. Afflicts blind and heal block for 2 turns to all enemies. That is just huge, can really push you higher in tournaments. That flashbang ability, huge cooldown on it. We got to make sure you have the potency on him, but if you have that up, it's going to benefit your team humongous. So that is why Major Shot is 17. Number 16 is Revolve. Again, we see a leadership ability, but Revolve can do some things. He puts on bleed with his basic, so that helps, and his basic does pretty solid damage at 240. Then he has his AoE ability, so you're getting an AoE out of the character, which can help in tournaments. And then he has this move where if the target is bleeding, he recovers 75% of his turn meter, doing 400% physical damage. But he's kind of squishier, and there are better AoE damage dealing options out there. But 16 deserved, middle of the pack here, Revolve. 15 is Ember, and this might shock people, but she would have been higher, but she lost one of her main components with the new rework, and that was that she could dispel, right? On the AoE. She's very dependent on inner fire, and that comes from burning. So, removes inner fire stack, inflicts burning, 2 turns for each inner fire stack removed. She does have the stun, which is super good on a 300% damage, not bad. And then we have the AoE, where it takes off that inner burning, but it used to remove turn meter, and that was huge, and it's not there anymore, you know. And then she gets inner fire on her passive, so that turn meter reduction really, really drops her down. But she is a very solid character. You know, you put her with Lake and Foul, be big. She can plug and play if you're missing an AoE. She does provide the stun. But all in all, Ember in the fighters list for me is 15. 14 is Rantha, because she has the off tank and battle poo that can really screw up the AI, but it's her leadership ability that puts her at 14. If you are missing a lead in a tournament, and you are running clans, she can help you out. She increases physical damage and magic damage for all allies of the clan by 25%. Then she gives orcs more, she gives goblins something else, tenacity to all pride, so she can be very beneficial. That's why she's 14, because of that lead. The rest of her kit is kind of blasé. This Hunter's Volley can really help you out because it can shoot all 8 arrows at one enemy if there's somebody left, but otherwise it splits it out and it's random. It's not as effective as it sounds, and you're only doing 80% of physical damage. It's not even 100%. But it's that lead that really pushes Rantha into the 14th spot. 13 is Puncherface, and Puncherface can do some things for you. He increases his speed by 20% on his passive, but it's his Earthquake ability where he puts Taunt up pretty much on everybody that can help and save your fights. So it's the Earthquake ability. He does do pretty solid damage, 400% physical, and he has a 50% chance to gain haste on his second ability. And then on his A1, 65% chance to recover 20% of his turn meters. So we're seeing some turn meter manipulation, but that taunting move really, really helps him out. And that's huge. It's huge. It can save your fights. So that's why Puncherface comes in at 13. Number 12 is Boris. And Boris is at 12 because he just can crank the damage. You use this move, and yeah, it's wasting ability, but you get 30% of your turn meter back. You're getting haste, you're getting a damage increase, you're getting a crit damage increase. If you pair him with Kagi, who's also a fighter, which we went over, he gets it. But man, he can do some damage. 300% of physical damage, and then puts bleeding on, so you can pair him with Reval. He is just a single target nuker, and he's deserved. I've grown to love Boris. I wish I would have gotten him earlier. He is just really, really good. It cranks out some damage, and his passive ability increases physical damage for each living party of the Pride. So you pair him with Boris, who's a fighter, or Reval, who's a fighter. He can do some things, but even if you don't, he still cranks the damage, and you will not be disappointed. I'm critting for 30k, 35k, so Boris, number 12. Number 11 is Nightiel. Nightiel does provide a leadership, but more importantly, she provides way more for your team. She's giving up a damage increase to all allies, so it includes minions or pets, and then her passive, she's dispelling 1 debuff. If Soleus is there, so if you have a Soleus lead in your off spot, you put her in, you're removing 2 debuffs. That dispel can't be underrated on how good it can be. Then she has the ability block on her second ability at 420 magic damage, so she's bringing ability block, dispelling, attack up to everybody. She does have a lead, very deserved of number 11, Nightiel. Number 10 is Cruel. Cruel does work. She has her passive ability we all know about. Mages go under stealth, increasing survivability. She has the create reflection, so if you lose your tank, you can copy their tank, you can copy another mage to get the 3 mage synergy. She's just great. Then she'll call in that person to assist, or she'll put the tank under invisibility, dropping the taunt so you can get around your tank. She brings things that a lot of people don't bring, and it can really help you out. Cruel, number 10. Number 9 is Kyra. She would have been up this list, but that nerf really hurt her, and it's all because of her Go Dark. Invisibility to all mages instead of the team, but what is really solid is the counterattack on your defender. You have Tromgar up, he loses his taunt, you pop Go Dark, it's going to help you. That invisibility is huge. She does really good damage, 420 with a daze, so that can stop the assist. And then she has ability block on her basic. It's a 50-50 shot, but still. Ability block, invisibility to mages, increasing survivability, putting up the critical or counterattack on your defender. It's why she's 9. Before the nerf, she probably would have been in the top 5, but right now, number 9. Number 8 is Count Delman. Count Delman does give a dodge increase for 2 turns and recovers 25% of the even turn meter, but all allies gain crit damage increase for 2 turns. All allies, so he's giving out that buff, but the move that's huge is the Mark of Death. If that tank doesn't have the taunt up, you can put it on the healer, you can put it on, like if the other team had Renara, you could put it on their damage dealer, and then even if the taunt goes up on that tank, you could still focus on them. It's huge for tournaments. He is a great character. 380 physical damage is nothing to scoff at. And then he has a 70% chance to increase the cooldown of a random ability by 1 turn on a basic. So we're seeing some kind of ability manipulation turn meter there. We got the taunt, we got the crit damage increase. He does really solid damage, pretty tanky, great character. Count Delman, number 8. Number 7 is Freezard. Freezard, he has a mini AoE on his second ability. He has the great AoE on his third ability, Cheat Death on his passive, and then he has Slow on his basic. 75% chance to inflict slow. That could really help you out. Then you can just get behind that taunt and then just start doing devastating damage with his AoE. And he also has decreased turn meter on his AoE by 25%. So really, really good. Can help you out. So turn meter manipulation, AoEs, slow, cheat death. He brings a lot to the table. Can definitely help you out if you don't have a fighter that you have to put in. Number 6 is Shadar. We are seeing a leadership, but it's for all allied mages. There's a lot of mages in there. Demons have a chance to inflict slow, so that is huge. But it is his turn meter manipulation here. He restores 50% turn meter to all allies, and then he gives himself debuff immunity, and then he has a stun on his second ability at 460 magic damage, and then his basic inflicts an armor decrease for 2 turns, making you do more damage. So we have armor decrease, turn meter manipulation at 50%, a stun on his A2, leadership with mages, Shadar, number 6. Number 5, Wonder Lua. People are probably like, Wonder Lua, really? Wait a minute, think about it. A lot of people run demons, they try to get, buff in there when they can, or Slinger, so she does more damage against them. She does very solid single target damage, but it is her third ability here, Cloak of Shadows, gains invisibility and applies it to all allied healers, tacticians, and fighters for 2 turns, increasing your survivability of your team. Pretty much everybody but the defender going under stealth. She really, really makes a difference there, and just increases this overall survivability, and putting all those weaker characters behind stealth is just so good. And then she'll come back and crank when she's invisible, 300, guaranteed to be a critical hit. She's beautiful. Number 4, Eric Shieldbreaker. He could be number 1 if his move, Rousing Cry, went to the whole team. You put him on a team with like Arantha and Battle Poo is out and he gets this, it sucks. Mor'Doom's imps get this, terrible. So the fact that this is only 4 allies brings him down. I mean, he's still superb, can do some damage, single target, but this is why he's meta right now, because of this. But if you put him on a team where you're summoning creatures or pets or whatever, his value goes down, and that does have to factor into it. So all in all, that's why he's there. He increases his physical damage by 30%, and then if you have another human with him, it goes up. So he does crank the damage if you want him to. The second ability is great, 390 physical damage, and gains a damage increase for 2 turns. That's awesome. But again, it's that Rousing Cry that just makes it amazing, but it's only to 4 people. That's why he comes in at number 5 for me. Number 3 is Garrett. Maybe you all know my love for Garrett, and maybe you guys thought he'd be my number 1, but he isn't. But he is an amazing character, deserved of the top 3. We know about his arrows, but he removes invisibility. That's huge. And then he inflicts blindness. That's awesome. So you got a whole turn of just people missing. If the other team has a Tromgar and he has his counterattack up, you pop that on him. He's just missing every time. So beneficial. Increases the survivability of your team. Then he has a mass dispel. When that pops, it is RNG dependent, but you could say you get days. You can put days on everybody so they don't get that turn meter manipulation. So helpful. And then he has the single target damage at 300%. He is just so good. Love him. That blind, the dispel, amazing. Or burning. If you have lake, he can spread around the burning or ember. So he can do some work for you in multiple situations. So deserving of number 3, but I can't put him over the other 2. Number 2 is Slinger. And he took a nerf, I get it. But sometimes when you're making a comp, you need a lead. His leadership is still really good. Allied demons gain 20% of their max health. Anytime an ally suffers a critical hit, all allies recover 5%. Demons recover twice as much. Gaining 5% to all allies is huge. Great lead. And then he can do some damage. I mean, he has... If somebody's taunting, he's dealing more crit damage. AoE. He can remove a buff. But it's that leadership. You know, and then he has a 50% chance to decrease the target's turn meter by 10% on his basic. Turn meter manipulation, very good lead, feeding turn meter to your team. That leadership makes him number 2 because there are plenty of tournaments where you're kind of stuck without a lead, or a lead that only benefits the one character. You put Slinger in there, he can fulfill maybe a demon spot, a warrior spot, a fighter spot, and he can be your lead where everybody's benefiting from it. Maybe I have it overranked, but I really don't think so. Because there's, like I said, there's so many times where you don't have a lead that benefits everybody in a tournament. Slinger could be your guy. And number 1 has to be Mor'Doom. I put him in the Dragon Slayers as number 1, and he should be the fighter number 1. He's dispelling on his basic. He's dropping his imps that do AoE or heals. Then his scythe ability, Rock's Curse, armor decrease, tenacity decrease, slow, damage decrease, potency decrease, ability block. For 3 turns. For 3 turns. So good. Passive ability, tenacity and potency for each living imp. Amazing. So he has to be there because if anything, dispelling on the basic, removing, what is it? All or 2 debuffs, 2 buffs from the party. You take down that taunt, you move on. He gets you out of so many sticky situations. Mor'Doom, number 1. So there it is, my YouTube family. There are the fighters, worst to first, and I tried to make it as fast as I could. So, gotta get to editing. I'm sweating my butt off in this Chewbacca shirt, jacket thingy. So, I will get this out and put up... I didn't put up the poll last time because so many people voted for fighter in the last 2 polls. I wanted to get it out there for everybody. So I'll put up the poll for the next ones for the worst to first. And working on my panda video, so I'll get that out to you. And if you're just finding me for the first time, you're liking what you're seeing, click that subscribe button, join the XMG family. For all my family members out there, you know I love you. See you on the next one. I'm out.